The only way to silence critics, the only way to dispel question marks is by producing on the field. And over the last few weeks, there has been growing question marks. There have been growing concerns about this 49ers team. On top of that, you're going into a divisional battle, the Seattle Seahawks, after losing your first two divisional games. And there isn't much that is more detrimental than going 0-3 in your division. You have you have 6 opportunities to win to essentially win your division. And to go in it and losing half of them already is not ideal. And they're not only, yes, there is still a long injury report for the San Francisco 49ers. But you're playing a team in the Seattle Seahawks that have issues of their own, that is on a mean losing streak of, I think they were on a 2-game losing streak of their own. And there were starting to be question marks about this 49, not starting. There were question marks about this 49ers team. One of the biggest question marks is, is this really a Super Bowl caliber team, or is that window closed? Now, obviously, you can make your assumptions there. I say the window is closed, but to lessen the grand of this game, you just needed to look like the team that a lot of people thought was going to be a top tier, if not the best team in the NFC. And the 49ers looked all of the 49ers in this game. I will say this, though. When you have Deebo Samuels have 3 receptions for 102 yards, when you have Brock Purdy have an incredible game, I think this is the 8th time in his career where he has 3 or more touchdowns with no interceptions. When you have a rusher break out for 99 yards named Isaac Gerardo, when the offensive line dominates, when the defense looks incredible. That's the 49ers the 49ers we saw on Thursday is the 49ers that for sure should be amongst the league, the top of the conference. I don't think Brock Purdy is a bad quarterback. I don't think that the issues for the 49ers is or could be detriment. What I will say is this. One thing that losing streaks, one thing that adversity shows that a lot of people don't talk about. It shows, obviously, what you can overcome, but it also shows what your floor is. It also shows what you look like at your worst. And let me give you a perfect example. We've seen what the Baltimore Ravens look like at their worst this year. That was the Raiders game. Looking at where the Ravens are right now and how we feel about the Ravens now compared to how we feel that like the Raiders are right now, them losing to the Raiders was their floor. But even in that loss, they had multiple double-digit leads. Lamar Jackson looked good. It was more of a self-inflicted loss. Right now, I think we're seeing what the floor looks like for the Cincinnati Bengals, for the Kansas City Chiefs. They haven't looked great majority of this season, and still they're 5-0. Not saying that they're not going to lose a game, but I'm saying we've seen what they look like right now at their worst. Now that can also change. You can get more information, which changes things. They can look god awful one of these days, and that would be their essential floor. I'm saying all this to say, we've seen what the 49ers floor looks like this year. We've seen them look just incredibly awful. And we've also seen what their ceiling is. I think at their floor level, in fact, I'll say it like this. I think they're closer. When you look at this game, when you look at the Thursday night football game, you look at the score 36-24 and you be like, well, they won by 12. But a lot of this game was Seattle mistakes more than the San Francisco 49ers just dominating. Don't get me wrong. They had their domination. Deebo Samuels was a man amongst boys. Nick Bosa was great. Fred Warner was great. They played really well. Don't get me wrong. And they had glimpses of the 49ers team that a lot of people thought was going to at least find their way back to the Super Bowl. Now, yes, I know injuries definitely play a huge part in how we're viewing the 49ers right now, but what is the floor of the 49ers? They have blown we talk about the Ravens. The 49ers have blown double-digit leads multiple times as well. And the Seahawks were getting the ball back with like a minute and 50 seconds. And at that point, it was a 6-point game. After the Seahawks were getting dominated, Geno Smith threw 2 interceptions on his birthday, might I add. You have DK Metcalf going off on the sideline, talking to whoever's in the headset, taking the headset off his offensive coordinator and talking to whoever's on. It did not look really good for the Seahawks, and we'll talk about them in a second. But even with all that, even with the Seahawks not playing well at all, it was like 2 minutes. They had the ball down 6. That means they could have essentially won the game, which means that it would have been another blown lead. So, obviously, that's in a different universe. That's in a different realm because it didn't happen as far as the 49ers were able to overcome. But we know what their ceiling is. We know what their floor is. Their ceiling, obviously, is the Super Bowl, at least making the Super Bowl. Right now, they're closer to their floor, but I think a lot of that is due to injury. And I will say congratulations to them because they needed this win. Like I said before, you can't go 0-3 right now in your division. And on top of that, now you have 2 teams, and the team that you would have lost to, the Seahawks, they would have been 4-2. So now you're tied with the Seahawks, but now you have the tiebreaker over them because you beat them. So congratulations to the 49ers for beating the Seahawks 36-24. And let me talk about the Seahawks for a second. I look at the Seahawks the same way I'm kind of looking at the Saints. At some point, you either have to meet expectations or you have to change them. And there's a reason why year after year people continue to lose faith in the Saints, because they have a great roster. They have a phenomenal roster. Yet and still, they always find themselves either in a dogfight to win the division, especially when they have a better roster, or they don't meet expectations like yearly. The Saints are probably in the Hall of Fame for having like one of the best teams in football and almost always not hitting expectations. They have to be in the Hall of Fame. Going into this season, and the season is not over. Let me say that. Being 3-3 is not a death sentence. But going into the season, what did we say about the Seahawks? We said that they had a sneaky good team. They have a sneaky good roster, especially when you talk defensively. And that's something that they haven't really had in a while. It is nowhere close to the Legion of Boom levels. But since the disbanding of the Legion of Boom, there's been huge question marks about this Seahawks team defensively. When you look now, they have, just by names, they have a really good defense. And on top of that, you still have the usual mainstays when we talk about, how good their offense can be. When we talk about DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker III, Geno Smith. This team is good. But it also goes, you can't turn something into something or someone they're not. I said this before, man. You can't expect Russell Westbrook to turn into a 3-point shooter this late in his career, because that's just not what he is. It's hard to break out of successful habits. Because again, what Russell Westbrook has been doing has got him an MVP. It's got him finals appearance. It's going to get him to the Hall of Fame. So to say, no, you need to change your game now, you need to adapt your game, it's going to be extremely difficult because he has not had to do that. Geno Smith is a good football player. Geno Smith is a really good quarterback. Geno Smith is not a great quarterback. Geno Smith is not the quarterback that can take you to new heights. You can maintain a really good surface with Geno Smith. But if you need someone, if you're looking for Geno Smith to be that quarterback that can be amongst the league leaders of passing, or that quarterback that can take you on a deep playoff run, that's not Geno Smith. Or at least we have not seen that in his career yet. Yes, we saw the comeback player of the year, most improved. But Geno Smith threw for 312 yards. Yet and still, he did not have a good game on his birthday at all, on all times. And when we talk about the defense, there's been multiple times this year where they just got gashed. I mean, the 49ers, the Lions, it kind of goes back to the conversation that we had about the 49ers. We know what their floor is right now, and we know what their ceiling is. I don't think we know what the Seahawks ceiling is, but we for damn sure know what their floor is. And I think the disheartening thing is their floor is much lower than the talent of this roster should be. There should be no reason why you have the ball with like 2 minutes left and you're down 6 and nobody believes that you're going to win this game. Mostly because of self-inflicted wounds, bro. Geno Smith threw 2 horrible. There's different types of interceptions. There's like the interception where it's clearly the wide receiver's fault. There's fluky interceptions where how the hell, like it got tipped or something. These 2 interceptions that Geno Smith threw was for sure his fault. And another thing, we saw 2 instances. I'm not going to blow them up, but I think that there are instances that we have to discuss. And that is Geno Smith looking at the sidelines to his coaching staff talking about, like, what the hell are y'all doing? And then the offensive coordinator situation with DK Metcalf. There's a reason why there's essentially a hierarchy in sports. You have the owner, the GM, the head coach, the players. There's as much as it's just like regular life, bro. There's employees and there's managers, there's bosses, there's owners. This is not the first time this year where we've seen it seemed like there was a disconnect between the players and the coaching staff, or it didn't seem like everyone was on the same page. And this is also not the first time where DK Metcalf goes off on somebody. These are all the let's say characteristics of a team that just doesn't have it all together. And one thing that if history repeats itself, I don't know of a team that has won that didn't. I'm not gonna say had it all together, because obviously it's damn near impossible to have everything line up the way it's supposed to. But I don't know a team that has won the Super Bowl or even been in Super Bowl contention that doesn't have everything as close to locked up as possible. And right now, it just seems like the Seahawks it's a mess. A good team, but a mess. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but all 3 of the Seahawks losses look exactly the same. They getting blown out. They have a chance to come back, and they blow it. All 3 of their losses. So, and it was a big, it wasn't a it wasn't a season-ending loss, but it is huge losing to a divisional opponent. Oh man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.